Another VIP pulling up to the Capitol. It is Michelle Obama, the former First Lady of the United States. Michelle Obama wearing a mask. Spotting celebrities and VIPs and politicians a little bit more challenging in the age of COVID. There's President Obama as well, I believe. And Obama, obviously the presence of Michelle and Barack Obama, not a surprise at Joe Biden's inauguration, but still a welcome sight as we note the transition of power. There will be Republican presidents here as well, including George W. Bush.
That's right. And can you imagine getting inside the head of the Obamas, particularly Barack Obama right now? He worked really hard to make this moment happen. He defied the norms of former presidents because he felt that he had to, because Donald Trump did way too much of that in campaigning very aggressively for his vice president to be able to be here today to take the oath as the 46th president of the United States. And you know, he worked really hard 4 years ago, didn't have the same result, but this is different, and it is very, very personal.
And Michelle Obama, too.
Yeah.
She has had quite the year of coming out with her criticism of the current administration, but I just think back to 4 years ago when the two of them were in the same place and witnessing the inauguration of Donald Trump. This has got
Hillary Clinton, the
circle moment. Hillary Clinton,
former presidential candidate, Secretary.
Talk about a different vibe from 4 years ago.
A full circle moment for all of them, including for Hillary Clinton.
I assume Bill Clinton will be coming out the other side. We don't have as good a view of that, but there she is. There he is, walking in with her, and Dana, we were discussing yesterday, sorry to interrupt Abby, we were discussing yesterday the strength it must have taken Hillary Clinton to attend the Trump inaugural 4 years ago after she won the popular vote but lost the Electoral College vote, after a campaign that was marked by nastiness and personal invective against her, and yet she showed up because it's important to the country. She had the strength of character to do that, strength of character that the outgoing president sadly lacks.
I cannot emphasize enough how all of those people, the Clintons, the Obamas, we will see the Bushes soon, they have all reflected on how surreal 4 years ago felt to them watching Donald Trump being elected, and even as surreal as today's events are going to be, the social distancing on the Capitol steps, the lack of a crowd. There is something about today's event that will be very normal in a very different way. You have Joe Biden, someone who is so familiar to Washington, taking the oath of office. And we should also point out the way in which Joe Biden has bookended two profound moments of history for this country, as the vice president to the first black president of the United States, and now choosing for his vice president the first black woman and South Asian woman vice president of the United States. It is a remarkable moment, but I can guarantee you the Clintons, the Obamas, will have a much easier time of this inauguration than they did 4 years ago.
I was looking to see if Hillary Clinton was going to skip up the steps with excitement. Can you imagine how vindicated she feels? You know, again, Jake, like you were saying, 4 years ago, she did her duty. She showed up. She showed up for democracy, and she put her own feelings aside. And this is one, obviously, she is very, very happy to show up for as the former First Lady, and never mind the person who was defeated by Donald Trump.
One protocol, one tradition that President Trump did engage in, we are told, by the White House outgoing Deputy Press Secretary Judd Deere, is that he did leave a letter for Joe Biden, a tradition that's been going on now for decades. Pamela Brown joins us now to tell us more about what we know about that letter. Pamela, what can you tell us?
Well, Jake, the president had a long list of to-do items while he was working in the Oval Office last night, and one of them was to write Joe Biden a letter. As you know, President Obama left him a letter when he took office. It's something he talked about with his aides repeatedly, bragged about, and he decided to write one, which was surprising to aides because of the way the president has broken tradition so far, not attending the inauguration today. As you heard, he didn't mention Joe Biden's name during his farewell address. But in this letter that was described to me as a personal note the president basically carried on with the theme that he said today, praying for the success of the country and the new administration to care for the country. So this is a personal note that the president felt was important to leave for Joe Biden.
All right, Pamela, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Arlette, it is perhaps the most important speech of his life, the one that the president-elect is about to deliver. He did a decent job at the Democratic convention, but this is going to be a tougher task because the country is in real pain and is deeply divided. What can you tell us about the work that President-elect Biden is doing on this speech?
Well, the president-elect is aware of the gravity and the moment that this speech will offer, as this country is really in a divided moment and also grappling with this pandemic. But I'm told that the president-elect is likely to make final tweaks on his speech until the very last minute. This is not entirely surprising in Biden world. He is a meticulous preparer for speeches big and small, and he is often known to make those changes until the very, very last minute. Now, the president-elect has been working on this speech for a few weeks with his chief speechwriter, Vinay Reddy, as well as his senior advisor, Mike Donnellan, someone who has really been central to a lot of Biden's messaging over the past few decades. And what we're expecting to hear from the president-elect today is this call for unity, something that has been a hallmark of his presidential campaign, but really takes on heightened significance in the moment that this country is currently in. Now, we also know just some background on how Biden prepares for these types of speeches. He actually has talked about how he marks up the speeches to help him with the pacing. That is something that he's likely done today as he is preparing to deliver the most important speech of his life.
All right, Arlette Saenz, thank you so much. And it's weird. We're watching the scenes coming from Capitol Hill. I just saw West Virginia Democratic Senator Joe Manchin taking some couple's picture for them with their camera. Everybody wearing masks, which is obviously quite a different sight from President Trump's departure event earlier today, where I didn't see one mask. It is a real moment of contrast. So you couldn't. So much of the Trump presidency has felt cinematic. I believe that is Ted Cruz there, right there, wearing a mask and nodding in the center of your screen.